Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Parama Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Sarva Gurubhyo Namaha. So we're continuing on with our discussion of Hari Bhakti Vilasa, the 10th Vilasa, or 10th chapter. And it's about the part of the day when we're doing our study, which is after the study and teaching of Shastras, after the external worship of the deity, which is the part. There are 5 parts of Vaishnava's day: Abhigamana, Upadana, Ija, Swadhyaya, and Yoga. So Swadhyaya is the section that we're talking about now, teaching or studying scriptures. And when we teach or study scriptures, we do it sometimes we do it in the association of other devotees, other Vaishnavas. And so therefore there was a whole discussion by the Goswamis in Hari Bhakti Vilasa of the qualities of the different types of Vaishnavas. So last time we heard about these 3 types of Vaishnavas: the Kiristadikari, the Madhyamadikari, the Uttamadikari, or the lower, middle, and topmost Vaishnavas. And we heard some general remarks about them. And then we also heard some very specific remarks about them. So now we're going to continue on. And I think the next topic is something about offering prayers. So let's have a look at the text. So we're starting with text 246, and it says offering prayers to the Lord. So we're going to be discussing this offering of pratana, or prayers. We can always also say in Navada Bhakti there's Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Parasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam. So we could also call this Vandanam. Pratanam is specifically praying. Vandanam is chanting specific prayers like stotras and different things, different poetic compositions. So here it says from the Narayana Vyuha Stava, Stuti, Stotra, these are all different types of prayers, right? The Narayana Vyuha Stava is about Narayana, and the Vyuha forms the expansions, the initial expansions of Narayana, which are the Chatur Vyuha in Panchavatra, Vasudeva, Sankarsana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. So here it says, "My dear Lord, I do not want even the position of Brahma if it's devoid of your devotional service. I would rather become an insect, birth after birth, if I can be engaged in your devotional service." So continuing on, it says here, Brahma offered this prayer to be found in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 14th chapter, 30th verse. So, my dear Lord, I pray that in this life, I pray that in this life as Lord Brahma, this is Brahma offering the prayer, or in any other life, whenever I am born, I may be engaged as one of your devotees. I pray that whatever I may be, wherever I may be, even if I happen to be born as an animal, I may be engaged in the devotional service to your lotus feet. So text 248. Again, from the Narayana Vyuha Stava, it's stated, "My repeated obeisances to devotees who have abandoned their wives, children, relatives, and principles of Varnashrama, wealth, property, and even the desire for liberation to engage in the worship of Lord Krishna." So this is a very interesting statement here. The person offering this prayer is saying, even people who have given up the principles of Varnashrama, right? So Vaishnavism, the worship of the Lord, a devotional service, it may even transcend the principles of ordinary society, of ordinary Vedic society, Varnashrama. So text 249, one would dare to describe the unending waves in the nectarian ocean of the glories of the devotees of the Supreme Lord, only because of his intense eagerness to relish such descriptions. Text 250. Therefore, those who wish to achieve all success in life and the next should always and by all means try to associate with the pure devotees of the Supreme Lord. Right. Text 251. The glories of associating with the Lord's devotees. So here we have a Mahatmya, which is Ata Shri Bhagavad Bhakta Sangha Mahatmya, the glories of the association of devotees. So now that we understood about the Lord, we've worshipped the Lord, and we've decided we're going to read the scriptures And we're going to read the scriptures in association with devotees, and we've understood the different levels of devotees, different types of devotees, the qualities and their different qualities, their different aspects, right? So now we are glorifying being together with these devotees and having their association. Let us offer our humble obeisances to the shoes of those great devotees who are never deviated from the process of attaining life's ultimate goal. The association of devotees destroys all sinful reactions. So it says here, even a most sinful person can be freed from all sinful reactions simply by associating with those who take pleasure in associating with exalted devotees of the Lord. Text 253. Generally, such association destroys all anartas. Anartas means impediments, and awards the four objects of life. Four objectives of life are Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Dharma means religiosity. Artha, economic development, or wealth, we can say. Kama means sense gratification or happiness, right? And moksha means ultimate liberation from this cycle of birth and death. So it says here, the Pretas spoke this verse to Muni Sharma, which is recorded in the Vaishaka Mahatmyam, the glories of the month of Vaishaka in the Padma Purana. So it says here, simply by seeing a Vaishnava, one's faults of blasphemy and a bad reputation are destroyed. Indeed, the darshan of a Vaishnava, or the sight of a Vaishnava, purifies one's intelligence and often causes one to be fixed in the goal of human life. In a conversation between Yamaraj and a Brahmana that is found in the same Purana, that is Padma Purana, we find the following verse. Just as a person who takes shelter of a fire gets relief from the cold, fear of ghosts and thieves, and darkness, those who regularly associate with saintly persons are freed from all types of fearful conditions of life. The Pretas spoke this verse, which is also found in the same Purana, that's Padma Purana. The association of devotees instantly destroys one's sinful reactions, increases auspiciousness, and helps to improve one's reputation. Text 256. It is more beneficial than traveling to holy places. What is? The association of the Vaishnavas, or the devotees of the Lord. So again, from the Padma Purana, it's stated, those who associate with saintly persons are superior to those who merely bathe in a holy river, such as the Ganges or the Ganga. It is more beneficial than performing all kinds of pious activities. King Bhagirath spoke this verse in the same Purana, the Padma Purana. There is no need to give charity, perform penance, visit holy places, or conduct sacrifices for one who has bathed in the Ganges in the form of associating with the devotees of the Lord. So that here, the association of the devotees or Vaishnavas of the Lord is compared to taking bath in the Ganges. It's so purifying. It awards the ultimate goal of life. So in the same Purana, Padma Purana, whatever desirable objects are found in this world can be obtained simply by the influence of sadhu sangha, or association of devotees. Text 259. It removes all anartas or impediments and awards the goal of life. In the Vashishta, which is a scripture, it's stated, by associating with those learned devotees who are familiar with the glories of bhakti, one's household becomes complete, even if there is death in the family. Indeed, death transforms into immortality and danger into wealth. Text 260. In the third canto, 23rd chapter, 55th verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, Devahuti spoke the following verse. Association for the purpose of sense gratification is certainly the path of bondage. But the same association, if it is with a saintly person, even unintentionally, leads to liberation. So we find also statements like this in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sadhu Sangha, Sava Shastra Hoy, Lavamatra Sadhu Sangha, Sava Siddhi Hoy, that we get all perfection by associating with a saintly person or a sadhu, a Vaishnava. And even for a very short time, and that's stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, lava matra means a very short time, even seconds or association with a Vaishnava is a great benediction and leads to all perfection. So now Sri Kapila Dev is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 25th chapter, 20th verse. Every intelligent man knows that attachment for material objects is the greatest entanglement of the spirit soul, but the same attachment, when applied to a pure devotee, opens the door to liberation. Text 262. If the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased, then one's enemy becomes a friend. Poison becomes nectar. Irreligion becomes religion. And if the Supreme Lord is displeased, then a friend becomes an enemy. Nectar becomes poison, and religion becomes irreligion. So this is a really, really nice verse, which says that, as long as we please the Supreme Lord, everything is okay. And if we don't please the Supreme Lord, then everything doesn't go okay. Everything's wrong. Right. So text 263, the Supreme Lord has further stated, if sinful activities are committed for my sake, then they transform into religious principles by my influence. On the other hand, religious duties performed while neglecting me are transformed into pious activities. So we should never forget the basis of all rules and regulations is stated to always remember the Supreme Lord and never forget him. That's the basis of all rules and regulations. So here that's been made very, very clear. We can think of the Battle of Kurukshetra. Arjuna made so many arguments to Krishna that the women will be unprotected if I kill all the husbands, if I kill all these men, if I kill all these relatives, it's sinful. But Krishna wanted him to do his duty as a Kshatriya and to fight the war. So really the point was that whatever Krishna wants, whatever the Supreme Lord wants, that is dharma, that is religious. And then whatever he doesn't want, that it becomes irreligious. Even if we might think that it's religious, but if it's not what God wants, if it's not what the Supreme Personality of Godhead wants, then it becomes irreligion. It becomes impious. So it helps one to forget about his body and things in relationship to the body, because this is the main thing keeping us here in the material world, is this association or meditation on the body, our body as being a self. It's a misidentification. So in the 4th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 9th chapter, 12th verse, Dhruva has said, O Lord, with a lotus-like navel, Padmanabha is usually the name given to the Lord with a lotus-like navel. Here it's in the 3rd line. It says Abjanabha, Padmanabha or Abjanabha. Abja means a lotus. Padma also is a name for a lotus. The word Abja, Ab actually is up. Up becomes Ab when it's added to Ja by Sandhi, and so therefore it's Abja. Abja means a lotus. Up means water, and Ja means born out of water. So lotus, you see the lotuses when they grow out of the water. So they're called Abja. Abja Naba. Naba means navel, right? So Padmanabha or Abjanabha is the name of the Lord with a lotus-like navel. So, O Lord with a lotus-like navel, if one associates with a devotee who always hankers after your lotus feet, seeking their fragrance, because lotuses have beautiful fragrance, and normally feet don't have a beautiful fragrance, but the Lord's feet have a beautiful, wonderful fragrance like lotuses. So he will lose all attachment for his material body as well as for his children, friends, house, wealth, and wife, right, which are very dear to materialistic men. What does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say in Shikshastakam? He says, Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim. I don't want wealth. I don't want followers. I don't want beautiful women, right? That's what he says. So all of these things, if one associates with a devotee who always hankers after a Vaishnava devotee of the Lord, he'll lose his attachment for all these material things. Text 265. Ata Jagad Ananda Kata, right? It is pleasing to everyone. So Preta spoke this verse in the Padma Purana. It says, Who would not be pleased by cooling moon rays in the form of shelter at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, which is satisfying, soothing, and full of nectar? So here, the association of a Vaishnava, or taking shelter of the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, surrendering and offering service to a Vaishnava, right, is compared to the cooling rays of the full moon, right, which are satisfying, soothing, and full of nectar. So it actually, the association of devotees or Vaishnavas awards us liberation. This is said in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, chapter 51, verse 53. Muchikunda offers this prayer to the Lord. O infallible Lord, when the material bondage of a materialistic person is destroyed by your mercy, he will achieve the association of devotees. At that time, he will become freed from all bad association and fix his mind on you. When his mind is thus fixed on your lotus feet, he will easily attain liberation from material existence. So, in the 4th canto, 30th chapter, 35th, verses 35 to 37, the Prachetas have spoken the following verses. Whenever discussions of the transcendental world are held, members of the audience forget all kinds of material hankering, at least for the time being. At least they are no longer envious of one another, nor do they suffer from fear or anxiety. People in the material world are always suffering from fear and anxiety because of impending death, and so many other reasons. The Supreme Lord, Narayana, is present with his devotees who are engaged in hearing and chanting his holy name. Lord Narayana is the ultimate goal of sannyasis, and he is worshipped for the performance, by the performance of Sankirtana. Sankirtana means congregational chanting of his holy names, by those who are liberated from material contamination. Oh, dear Lord, your devotees travel throughout the world to purify even the holy places of pilgrimage. Is it not beneficial for those who are afraid of material existence? Yeah, definitely. So, text 270. It is the essence of everything. In the Brihad Naradiya Purana, there is a conversation between Narada and Sanat Kumara, and it says, O son of Brahma, for those who desire to be engaged in the devotional service of Lord Hari, the association of devotees is most essential. So in the Padma Purana, the Maratha king spoke the following verse. The association of saintly persons is just like the nectar that was obtained by churning the ocean of milk, the nectar being the Amrita, or the nectar of immortality. It is an easily available remedy for material miseries and giver of pleasure to all living entities. Text 272. Ata Bhagavat Katam Rita Panaika Hetuta. The tendency to drink the nectarian discussions of the Supreme Lord is natural. In the Padma Purana, in the Vaishaka Mahatmyam, the glories of the month of Vaishak, the following verse is spoken by Narada Muni. In association of devotees, the sweet and beautiful glories of Lord Krishna are discussed, which are very pleasing to the ears and minds of the living entities. Text 273. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 25th chapter, 25th verse, Lord Kapila has spoken the following verse. In the association of pure devotees, discussions of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of devotional service. When he is freed from all anarthas and fixed in mind, his real devotional service begins. Text 274 and 275, they come from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 29th chapter, verses 39 to 40. Narada says, my dear king, if in that place where pure devotees reside, following the rules and regulations and engage with great determination, hearing and chanting the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one gets the chance to hear their talks, which are like the waves of a river of nectar. He will forget the bodily necessities of life, such as hunger and thirst, and become freed from the influence of fear and lamentation and illusion. Text 276. This verse is found in the conversation between a Brahmana and Rahugana that is recorded in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 12th chapter, 13th verse. In an assembly of pure devotees, there is no question of discussing material subjects. There is only discussion of qualities, forms, and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the association of pure devotees, by constantly hearing such discussions with respect, even a person who wants to merge into the existence of Brahman abandons this idea and gradually becomes attached to the devotional service of the Lord. So here it's mentioning that even somebody who would be interested in Kaivalya Mukti, or the self-liberation or self-love of the soul, right, becomes attracted to the active association of the Supreme Lord and his service, his direct service, which is the type of liberation that Vaishnavas aspire for. So, in a conversation between the Supreme Lord and Uddhava, this verse is found in the end of the story of Ola, which is narrated in Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 26th chapter, verses 28 and 29. O greatly fortunate Uddhava, in the association of saintly devotees, there is constant discussion of me. Those taking part in such chanting and hearing my glories are certainly purified from all sins. Whoever hears, chants, and respectfully takes to heart these discussions about me becomes faithfully dedicated to me and thus achieves my devotional service. Text 279. It awards devotional service. The Association of Devotees awards devotional service, for sure. So in the Brihad Naradiya Purana, it's stated, devotional service is obtained by the Association of Devotees. The Association of Devotees is obtained by a person who had accumulated heaps of pious activities in his previous lives. So if we perform pious activities knowingly or unknowingly in previous lives, then we come into contact with the Lord's devotees or the Vaishnavas. And because the Lord's devotees and Vaishnavas are always performing devotional service to the Lord, we also become attracted to performing the similar activities, to also worshiping the Supreme Lord and doing his devotional service. Text 280 to 282 is, it controls the Supreme Lord. Right. These verses are found in the conversation between the Supreme Lord and Uddhava, recorded in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 11, Text 49, and 11th Canto, 12th chapters, Text 1 and 2. So, my dear Uddhava, beloved descendant of the Yadu dynasty, because you are my servant, well-wisher, and friend, I shall now speak to you the most confidential knowledge. By associating with my pure devotees, one can give up his attachment for the objects of material sense gratification. Indeed, such association brings me under the control of my devotee. One may perform Astanga yoga, engage in philosophical search for genuine knowledge, practice non-violence and other principles of piety, chant the Vedic mantras, perform austerities, accept the renounced order of life, perform elaborate sacrifices and dig wells, plant trees, and perform other social services. Give in charity, execute Sophia vows, worship the demigods, and visit holy places of pilgrimage. But by performing such activities, one does not bring me under his control. Right? So first of all, Krishna says here, what brings him under control? Right? By associating with my pure devotees, one gives up the attachment for the objects of sense gratification. Indeed, such association brings me under the control of my devotee. And then he says all these other things do not. All these chanting Vedic mantras, practicing non-violence and austerities and Astanga yoga, they do not. Text 283. Vidura spoke this verse, which is found in Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 7th chapter, 19th verse. O sage, what is there that one cannot attain by serving the lotus feet of great souls like you? By serving exalted devotees of the Lord, one can achieve love and attachment for the lotus feet of the imperishable Supreme Lord, the slayer of the demon Madhu. As a result of this attachment, one's material existence becomes extinguished. Text 284. It awards the ultimate goal of life. So the sages headed by Shonaka and the Prachetas, spoke this verse as found in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, chapter 18, verse 13, and Canto 4, chapter 30, verse 34, respectively. The value of a moment's association with a pure devotee of the Lord cannot be compared even to the attainment of the heavenly planets or liberation from material existence. And so, what to speak of the worldly benedictions in the form of material prosperity, which are for those who are destined to die. Text 285. Lord Shiva spoke this verse to instruct the Prachetas, right? Which is found in Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, 24th chapter, 57th verse. If one has the good fortune to associate with a pure devotee, even for a fraction of a moment, he loses all attraction for elevation to the heavenly planets and liberation from material existence. What interest, then, can he have in the benedictions of the demigods who are subjected to birth and death? Text 286. Lord Shiva spoke this verse at the end of the discussion of Markandeya that is recorded in Srimad Bhagavatam 12th Canto, 10th chapter, 7th verse. Still, my dear Bhavani, let us talk with this saintly personality. After all, association with saintly devotees is a person's greatest good fortune. Text 287. Mother Earth spoke this verse to Prahlad, which is recorded in the Hari Bhakti Sudadaya. The perfection of the eyes is to see the devotees. The perfection of the body is to touch the devotees. The perfection of the tongue is to glorify their holy names. The association of devotees is rarely attained in this world. Text 288. Vidura spoke this verse, which is found in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, chapter 7, verse 20. Persons whose austerity is meager can hardly obtain the service of the pure devotees who are progressing on the path back to the kingdom of God, the Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual sky. Pure devotees are fully engaged in glorifying the Supreme Lord, who is the master of the demigods and the controller of all living entities. Text 289. Videha spoke this verse, which is found in Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th Canto, 2nd chapter, verse 29. It's very rare for the conditioned souls to attain the human form of life, and it can be lost at any moment. And yet, those who have attained a human birth rarely gain the association of pure devotees who are very dear to the Lord. Text 290. Dhruva Maharaj offered this prayer to the Lord, which is found in Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, 9th chapter, 11th verse. O unlimited Lord, kindly bless me so that I can gain the association of pure devotees who are constantly engaged in your transcendental loving service, as waves of a river continuously flow. By the process of devotional service, I shall surely be able to cross the great ocean of material existence, which is filled with waves of great danger. It will be very easy for me, for I am very anxious to hear about your transcendental qualities and pastimes. Text 291. Lord Shiva spoke this verse to the Prachetas, which is found in Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, 24th chapter, verse 58. My dear Lord, your lotus feet are the cause of all auspiciousness and the destroyer of all kinds of sinful reactions. I therefore beg you to bless me with the association of your devotees, who are completely purified because of worshipping your lotus feet, and who are very merciful upon the conditioned souls. I think that your best benediction will be to allow me to associate with your devotees. Text 292. The Prachetas spoke this verse, which is found in Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, 30th chapter, text 33. My dear Lord, for as long as we have to remain within this material world, wandering from one kind of body to another, and from one planet to another, may we have association of those who are engaged in discussing your pastime. Text 293. Prahlad spoke this verse, which is found in Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th Canto, 9th chapter, verse 24. My dear Lord, I have had enough experience of worldly opulence, mystic powers, and other material pleasures that are enjoyed by all living entities, from Brahma down to the mere insect. As irresistible time, you destroy everyone and everything. Therefore, I do not want to possess these things. Instead, I request that you give me the association of your pure devotee and let me sincerely serve him. So now we have text 294. The fault of bad association. Right? So now we talked about all the Mahatmyams, all the glorification of good association with sadhus and Vaishnavas. Now we're going to see association with bad people and how that negatively affects people. So, the fault of bad association. One should never associate with sinful people because this will cause one to degrade himself and thus fail to achieve life's ultimate goal. Katyayana spoke this verse, text 295. So Katyayana is a great sage who was also a great Sanskrit grammarian. It is better to live in a cage surrounded by fire than to live in the association of those who are averse to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. This is a very famous verse. Better to live in a cage surrounded by fire than to live in the association of those who are averse to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Text 296. In the conversation between Uma or Parvati and Maheshwara or Shiva that is recorded in the Uttarakhanda of the Padma Purana, this verse is found. One should not even converse with non-devotee brahmanas. One should even avoid touching them and eating and drinking with them because they are considered to be more fallen than dog eaters. Text 297 and 299. These verses are found in the conversation between Kapila and Devahuti as recorded in Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 31st chapter, text 33 to 35. If one pursues the path of material enjoyment, associating with those who are simply interested in sexual enjoyment, he will gradually become devoid of truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, gravity, spiritual intelligence, shyness, austerity, fame, forgiveness, control of the mind, control of the senses, and good fortune. One should never associate with a coarse fool who is bereft of the knowledge of self-realization and who is no more than a dancing dog in the hands of a woman. The infatuation and bondage which is caused due to the attachment to any other object is not as complete as that resulting from attachment to a woman or to the association of men who are fond of women. Text 30. This verse is found in a conversation between the Supreme Lord and Uddhava that is recorded in Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 26th chapter, verse 3. One should never associate with materialists who are dedicated to gratifying their genitals and belly. By following their example, one falls into the deepest pit of darkness, just like a blind man who follows another blind man. Text 301. Those who are averse to the devotional service of the Supreme Lord are called non-devotees. Right, so it says Bhagavad Bhakti Hina. Hina means without. Those who are without any service to the Supreme Lord. Right. Bhagavad Bhakti Hina. Even if they sometimes follow proper etiquette, they can never achieve genuine auspiciousness. Text 302. The fate of a non-devotee. At the end of a section dealing with atonement in the Brihad Naradiya Purana, this verse is found. What is the use of studying the Vedas and other scriptures, undergoing penance, traveling to holy places of pilgrimage, or conducting fire sacrifices for those who are devoid of devotional service to Lord Vishnu? Text 303 in the Guru Purana, it's stated, if a person has no devotion for Lord Krishna, the Supreme Controller, even if he's well versed in all the Vedic literatures, he's considered a most fallen soul. Text 304. Lord Brahma offered this prayer to the Supreme Lord, as stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 9th chapter, verse 10. Non-devotees engage their senses in very troublesome and extensive work, and they cannot sleep at night because they're disturbed by various mental concoctions. They are frustrated in all their plans, making by supernatural power. Even great sages, if they are against you, must continue in the cycle of repeated birth and death in this material world. So, text 305. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, 1st chapter, verse 18, it's stated, O king, just as the river of water is unable to purify a wine container, even properly executed atonement or prayaschitta, right, cannot purify a person who is averse to Lord Narayana. Text 306. In the Vishnu Dharmottara it's stated, how can those persons in whose hearts the all-auspicious Supreme Lord does not reside attain auspiciousness? What then can be said about the nullification of the reactions of sinful activities performed by them? Text 307. That is why in the beginning of the story of Lubdaka, that is narrated in Brihad Naradiya Purana, this verse is found. Those who are averse to the worship of Lord Hari, who are envious of the cows and brahmanas, and disrespectful towards the Vedas are considered to be demons. Text 308 and 309. These verses are found in Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, 3rd chapter, verses 28 and 29, and are spoken by Yamaraj while instructing his messengers. Paramahamsas are exalted personalities who have no taste for material enjoyment and who drink the honey of the Lord's lotus feet. My dear servants, bring to me for punishment only those who are averse to the taste of that honey, who do not associate with Paramahamsas, and who are attached to family life and worldly enjoyment, which are the path leading to hell. My dear servants, please bring to me only those sinful persons who do not use their tongues to chant the holy name of Lord Krishna, whose hearts do not remember the lotus feet of Krishna, even once, and whose heads do not bow before Lord Krishna. Please bring to me all such fools and rascals. Text 310, 311. The faults of blaspheming Vaishnavas, right? What to speak of the fault of being a non-Vaishnava or a non-devotee, but the fault here of blaspheming Vaishnavas, right? So this is Vaishnava aparad. In the conversation between Markandeya and Bhagirata, which is recorded in Skanda Purana, the following verses are found. O Emperor, by blaspheming a Vaishnava, one loses his religiosity, wealth, glory, children, and exalted position. Foolish people who blaspheme exalted Vaishnavas will have to suffer in the hell known as Raurava, along with their forefathers. Text 312. One who beats, criticizes, hates, disrespects, displays anger towards, or does not express happiness upon seeing a Vaishnava will go to hell. These 6 activities can lead one to the path of hellish life. So what do we have? We have beating, criticizing, hating, disrespecting, displaying anger, or to not express happiness when seeing a Vaishnava. That will lead us to hell. So text 313. Yamaraj spoke this verse, which is found in the Skanda Purana. Those who give trouble to Vaishnavas will lose all the piety that they had accumulated since birth. Text 314 to 315. In the conversation between Prahlad and Bali, King Bali, that is recorded in the Dwarka Mahatmya, the Glories of Dwarka, these verses are found. The Yamadutas cut into pieces with a sharp knife the body of a person who blasphemes pure devotees of the Lord. Lord Hari never becomes pleased with those who disregard Vaishnavas, even if he is worshipped by them birth after birth. So you can worship the Supreme Lord, but if you blaspheme the devotees, blaspheme the Vaishnavas, you can never please the Supreme Lord. Text 316. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 74th chapter, verse 40, it's stated, anyone who fails to immediately leave the place where he hears criticism of the Supreme Lord or his faithful devotee will certainly fall down and lose all of his pious merit. Text 317. Therefore, in the Vishnu Dharmottara, it is also stated, it is better to live for 5 days as a devotee of Lord Vishnu than to live for 1,000 kalpas without devotion to Lord Kesava. Text 318. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 26th chapter, verse 26, at the end of the story of Alda, this verse is found. An intelligent person should therefore give up all bad association and instead search out the association of saintly devotees, whose words cut the rope of excessive attachment within one's mind. Text 319. Thereafter, one should approach exalted devotees whose bodies are decorated with tilak and auspicious symbols, and offer obeisances to them from a distance, falling flat onto the ground. Text 320. The method of greeting a Vaishnava. Right. So now that we know who Vaishnavas are, we know all the good qualities of Vaishnavas, we know all the bad qualities of people who are not Vaishnavas, we've understood the advantages of getting the association of Vaishnavas. Now, what is the correct method for greeting a Vaishnava? We should be happy when we see that Vaishnava, right? And we should greet him. Here it says in the Tejo Dravina Pancharatra, so it's a certain Pancharatra scripture, it's stated, it is recommended that as soon as a Vaishnava sees another Vaishnava, he should bow down to him by touching his head to the ground. This is done because Lord Hari, who carries a conch, club, discus, and lotus in his 4 hands, resides within the hearts of both devotees. Text 321 to 322. In the Brihad Naradiya Purana, it's stated, by offering obeisances to only one person who is seated in an assembly at a sacrificial arena or in a temple room, all of one's piety that had been accumulated over a long period of time is destroyed. In other words, if one simply offers obeisances to one person, ignoring the other devotees and the deities, that is considered to be an offense. So it's an interesting sloka here. So he's saying, Sabhayam Yagya Shalayam Salayam Devata. Yeah, okay. So we should definitely offer obeisances, not just to one person when we're offering obeisances. Text 323. As soon as one sees a Vaishnava who has just arrived from another place, one should embrace him with affection and please him by introducing him to his fellow Vaishnavas. Right? We can think of there was a sage who was killed by a piece of kusha grass to Lord Balaram. He didn't pay obeisances to Lord Balaram. When a great personality enters into an assembly like that, either a Vaishnava or the Supreme Personality of Godhead in this case, then we have to offer our obeisances. We have to get up and we have to fall down and pay our obeisances to such a person. Lord Brahma spoke this verse, which is also found in the Tejo Dravina Pancharatra. When one sees a devotee of Lord Narayana who has just arrived from another place, one should please him by affectionately introducing him to the other devotees. Text 325. When a Vaishnava arrives at your door, one should very respectfully greet him, speaking to him with sweet words, and behave with him like a friend. Otherwise, you will surely be considered to have committed a sin. Showing respect to a Vaishnava is an eternal duty. So in the Skanda Purana, in the conversation between Markandeya and Bhagirata, it's recorded, for 12 years the Supreme Lord will not accept the worship of a person who fails to greet a Vaishnava immediately upon meeting him. Text 327 to 328. O foremost king, the house of a person who does not listen to a Vaishnava who has come to his house is just like a graveyard. The forefathers do not live in that house. There is no one more sinful than a person who does not treat according to his own ability a Vaishnava who has arrived from another place. Text 329. One whose heart does not soften due to compassion upon seeing a tired devotee of the Lord arrive at his door or temple is certainly a miscreant and more degraded than a dog eater. Text 330. Lord Hari becomes displeased with someone who, after seeing a qualified Brahmana that is devoted to the Supreme Lord and who is in need of assistance, does not look after his comfort. So Lord Hari becomes displeased if somebody, after seeing a qualified Brahmana that is devoted to the Supreme Lord, it means any Vaishnava actually, anybody, because any Vaishnava is greater than an ordinary Brahmana, right? And who is in need of assistance and does not look after that person's comfort. Text 331 and 332. O king, Lord Hari, does not forgive a sinful person who, after seeing an exalted devotee of the Supreme Lord, does not offer him obeisances and worship him. If a Vaishnava returns home without being worshipped, the piety that the landlord had accumulated during his last 100 births vanishes. Text 333 to 334. O king, by disrespecting Vaishnavas, one becomes afflicted by the sinful reactions for being averse to the worship of the demigods and forefathers and eating on aquaticity, right? So if you disrespect Vaishnavas, you become afflicted with the sinful reactions, right? That people who are averse to worshiping demigods and forefathers and eating on aquaticity get, right? So one who first displays respect for a Vaishnava and then disregards him later on faces ruination along with his entire family. Text 335. In a conversation between Yamaraj and a Brahmana that is recorded in the Vaishaka Mahatmya Padma Purana, it said, if somebody does not stand up, if someone does not stand up and show love and respect upon seeing a Vaishnava, he will certainly go to hell. Text 336. In the fourth canto, 22nd chapter, 11th verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, it's stated, even though it may exhibit great prosperity, a house where the devotees of the Lord have never been invited and where there is no water for washing their feet is to be compared to a tree full of snakes. Text 337 and 338. Ata Vaishnava Stutihi. So here we have another topic. Glorifying Vaishnavas. How do we glorify Vaishnavas? In the Skanda Purana, it's stated, when a Vaishnava comes to his house, a householder should greet him by saying, my life has become successful because of your auspicious arrival. Just as the darshan of Lord Hari is rarely attained, so is the darshan of a Vaishnava. I must have accumulated heaps of piety as great as Mount Sumeru, so that I now have an opportunity of serving an exalted Vaishnava. So it's interesting. This is the way that somebody has to feel when a Vaishnava comes to his house. Text 339. Nanda Maharaj spoke this verse to Garga Muni, which is found in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 8th chapter, 4th verse. O exalted devotees, saints like you travel over the earth for the sake of the poor-hearted Vaishnava, poor-hearted householders like us, not for fulfilling any personal desire. Text 340 to 343. King Prithu spoke the following verses to the sages headed by Sanaka and recorded in Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 22nd chapter, texts 7, 10, 13, and 14. King Prithu said, my dear sages, it is very difficult for even mystic yogis to see you because you are very rarely seen in this world. I do not know what kind of pious activities I performed so that that now you are present before me. A person may not be rich and he may be attached to family life, but he becomes glorious when saintly persons are present in his home. Both masters and servants who are engaged in offering their visitors water, a sitting place, and paraphernalia for reception are glorified. Thereafter, Prithu Maharaj inquired from the sages about how persons who are entangled in material existence because of their previous actions and thus are simply engaged in matters of sense gratification can achieve a life of auspiciousness. King Prithu continued, my dear sages, there is no need for me to ask about your good or bad fortune because you're always absorbed in transcendental ecstasy. The mental concoction of auspiciousness and inauspiciousness does not exist in you. Text 344, the glories of approaching a Vaishnava. So in the conversation between Markandeya and Bhagirata, which is found in the Skanda Purana, it's stated, O king, long ago respected Brahmanas stated, those who approach exalted Vaishnavas attain the merit of performing a sacrifice at each step they take. Text 345, the glories of offering prayers to Vaishnavas. So in the Skanda Purana, it's stated, if a person directly or indirectly praises a Vaishnava, he will soon become freed from all sinful reactions. Even if he is a drunkard, killed a Brahmana, stolen gold, or enjoyed sex with his spiritual master's wife. This was stated by Lord Vishnu himself. It's also stated, those who directly or indirectly glorify Vaishnavas easily cross over the ocean of material existence by the mercy of Lord Vasudeva. Text 347 to 348. Ta Shri Vaishnava Samhanana Mahatmyam. The glories of showing respect to Vaishnavas. In the Amrita Sarodhara, it is stated, when one faithfully offers food to a Vaishnava, as the food is being digested, that person achieves highest merit as great as Mount Sumeru. A little water offered to a Vaishnava while one is worshipping the demigods or forefathers becomes as vast as the ocean as the water of the seven seas in front of the forefathers. Text 349 to 350. In the Vishnu Dharma, it's stated, there is not much benefit obtained by giving charity, performing austerities, and conducting sacrifices. However, simply by worshipping the devotees of Lord Hari, one achieves all kinds of opulence. Therefore, it is the duty of every wise man to carefully worship the Vaishnavas. Anything offered to a Vaishnava according to one's capacity yields unlimited benefit. Text 351. At the end of the story of Yagyamali, that is narrated in Brihad Naradiya Purana, it's stated, by worshipping Vaishnavas who are fixed in devotional service to Lord Vishnu, by considering them to be as good as Lord Hari, qualitatively, one automatically pleases Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Mahadeva. Text 352. Even if one is very sinful, if he serves great Vaishnavas who are always absorbed in worshipping Lord Hari and chanting his holy names, he will attain the supreme goal of life. Text 353. In the beginning of the story of Yagyamali, right, as narrated in the Brihad Naradiya Purana, it is stated, O exalted sages, let those who wish to cross over the ocean of material existence worship the servants of the devotees of Lord Hari, because such service nullifies all sinful reactions. Text 354 to 355. One who respectfully feeds Vaishnavas who are without any material desires will attain the abode of Lord Hari, along with 21 generations of his family. One who offers water or fruit to an exalted devotee who is free from material desires will achieve the same result. Text 356 to 357. Those who serve exalted devotees of Lord Vishnu will attain his eternal abode, along with 21 generations of their families. Lord Hari personally resides, along with Lakshmi and all the demigods, in a house where the devotees spontaneously worship Lord Krishna. Text 358 to 359. In the Linga Purana, it's stated, food that is accepted with pleasure by a learned devotee of Lord Narayana is certainly relished by the Lord himself. Food that's accepted with pleasure by a learned devotee of Lord Narayana is certainly relished by the Lord himself. In other words, the Supreme Lord eats through the mouth of a Vaishnava. Right, so when we feed a Vaishnava, we should be thinking that we're feeding the Supreme Lord. Lord Hari, the Supreme Soul of the universe, is very affectionate toward his devotees. He is more pleased while relishing the food offered to a Vaishnava than food offered to him directly. Text 360. The Supreme Lord spoke this verse, which is found in the Brahma Purana. O Brahma, whatever food is offered to me in my form as a Shalagram Shila, I accept simply by seeing it. On the other hand, I directly taste the food that is eaten by my devotee. Text 361 to 363. In a conversation between Lord Shiva and Uma, that is recorded in the Padma Purana Uttarakanda, the following verses are found. Among all kinds of worship, the worship of Lord Vishnu is best, and yet even superior to the worship of Lord Vishnu is the worship of those who are related to him. One who only worships Lord Govinda but does not worship his devotees cannot be called a genuine devotee. Instead, he should be considered to be a very proud person. Therefore, one should always worship Vaishnavas with great care and attention, because such worship alleviates all material miseries. So this is a very famous verse here. Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnor Aradhanam param tasmat paradhanam devi tariyanam sa'achanam. And we have two more verses coming after it. All right, so text 364 to 365. The Supreme Lord spoke these two lines, which are found in Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 11th chapter, text 44, and Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 19th chapter, verse 21. One should deal with a Vaishnava as if he were a friend and thus show him due respect. The worship of my devotee is more pleasing to me than the worship offered directly to me. Text 366. In a conversation between Markandeya and Bhagirath, which is found in the Skanda Purana, it is stated, it is the duty of everyone to follow the orders of great souls who constantly worship Lord Hari with their body, mind, and speech. These great souls are as glorious as Lord Hari himself. Text 367. If one should exchange warm greetings with Vaishnavas and hear the Vedic literature from them, especially the narrations of Lord Krishna's pastimes that are found in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Text 368. Atha Vaishnava Shastra Mahatmyam. Shastra Mahatmyam. So, in a conversation between Brahma and Narada, which is found in Skanda Purana, it's stated, glorious are those who hear and study Vaishnava literature. Their lives are considered glorious because they give pleasure to Lord Krishna. Text 369. By worshipping Vaishnava literature in their homes, people can be relieved of all sinful reactions and gain the respect of people in general. Text 370. Just to please Lord Hari, it is the duty of all Vaishnavas to respectfully maintain a library of Vaishnava literature. Text 371. O Narada, Lord Narayana personally resides in a house where Vaishnava literature is present. Text 372 to 373. Simply by studying one sloka, half a sloka, or even 1/4 of a sloka from the Puranas that describe the glories of Lord Vishnu, one attains the merit of giving 1,000 cows in charity. What to speak of human society? Vaishnava literature is rarely seen even in the abodes of demigods, sages, and yogis. Text 374 to 375. In a conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, which is recorded in the Skanda Purana, these verses are found. O Arjuna, those who regularly worship and recite literature that is full of the descriptions of my glories become just like my guests, worthy of my worship. There is no doubt that I always consider those who speak about and study my literature to be very dear to me. Ata Shri Mahad Bhagavata Mahatmyam, the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavata Mahatmyam. So, in the same literature, which was Skanda Purana, right? It's stated, in this age of Kali, those who treat the Srimad Bhagavatam as being dearer than their own lives will never suffer the punishment of Yamaraj for hundreds of kalpas. Text 377. The forefathers are those who always study and recite the Srimad Bhagavatam in their houses, dance in ecstasy without considering social conventions. Text 378 to 379. O Brahmana sage, as long as one carefully keeps the Srimad Bhagavatam in his house, the forefathers enjoy an abundance of sweet rice, honey, and water. Know for certain that those who regularly worship Srimad Bhagavatam in their houses have already satisfied all the demigods. And of course, the mention of worship of the Bhagavatam here is the recitation and the study of the Bhagavatam, right? Not just some ritualistic worship of the Bhagavatam, but actually reading it and understanding it in the association of devotees, right? Those who affectionately give the Srimad Bhagavatam in charity to a Vaishnava will go to reside in the abode of Lord Vishnu for thousands of millions of kalpas. Of course, if you go to the abode of Lord Vishnu, which is Sri Vaikuntha, you never come back. So this is another example of Shastric hyperbole. It is beneficial to keep even 1/2 or 1/4 of a sloka of Srimad Bhagavatam at one's home. So what to speak of the whole Bhagavatam, even a line of a sloka. There is no need to collect a library of hundreds of thousands of other books. Srimad Bhagavatam is complete and perfect literature. Text 382 to 386. Stated, in this age of Kali, one who does not have the Srimad Bhagavatam in his house will not return to the abode. One who does not have the Srimad Bhagavatam in his house will not return from the abode of Yamaraj. will not return from the abode of Yamaraj. Okay, so he never goes to the abode of Yamaraj if he has the Bhagavatam in his house. So if one who does not have the Srimad Bhagavatam in his house will not return from the abode of Yamaraj. That person will go to the abode of Yamaraj and will stay there. In other words, he will continue to live there for a very long time. How can one be called a Vaishnava if he does not possess a copy of Srimad Bhagavatam? O Narada, such a person is actually lower than a dog eater, even if he's born in a Brahmin family. Lord Hari, along with all the demigods, personally remains present where Srimad Bhagavatam is respectfully kept and worshipped. All holy rivers and lakes are also present at the place where Srimad Bhagavatam is kept. In the house where Srimad Bhagavatam is respectfully recited and studied, and all the sacred places are present, as well as all opulence and sacrifices. It's also said in text 387 to 389, one who regularly recites the Srimad Bhagavatam obtains the merits of giving a brown cow in charity for each of the letters which he pronounces. Simply by respectfully hearing or reciting even 1/2 or 1/4 of a sloka of Srimad Bhagavatam, quarter of a verse, every day, one receives the benefit of giving 1,000 cows in charity. O sage, one who recites the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam every day with a pure heart obtains the merit of studying all 18 Puranas. Right, so there are these 18 Mahapuranas, 6 Sattvic, 6 Rajasic, and 6 Tamasic Puranas, but you get the benefit of studying all of them by simply reciting Srimad Bhagavatam every day. So, text 390. In the conversation between Markandeya and Bhagavata, found in the same literature, it's stated, O sinful wretch, the sinful wretch who creates obstacles on the path of reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, or who has no appreciation for those who recite Srimad Bhagavatam, degrades 100 generations of his family. Text 391 to 392. In the conversation between Gautama and Ambarisha that are recorded in the Padma Purana, these verses are found. O king, if you wish to cut the knots of material bondage, then recite or hear Srimad Bhagavatam, which is spoken by Sukadeva Goswami. Lord Hari always resides where a person respectfully keeps even one sloka or half a sloka or a quarter of a sloka, a quarter of a verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Text 393. In a conversation between Markandeya and King Indradyumna, which is found in the Dwarka Mahatmya, it's stated, by reciting Srimad Bhagavatam before the deity of Lord Krishna, one can later enjoy transcendental pastimes with the Lord and his devotees, along with 10 million generations of his family. Text 394. In the Garuda Purana, it's stated, Srimad Bhagavatam is the natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. It is the purport of the Mahabharata, the actual form of the Gayatri Mantra, and the essence of the Vedas. That's a very, very nice statement in the Garuda Purana. Right. Arto Yam Brahma Sutranam. So it's the meaning of the Brahma Sutras. Bharatartha Vinirnayaha. It's the purport of the Mahabharata or the Bharata. Gayatri Bhashya Rupasya. Right. It's the actual form of the Gayatri Mantra. In fact, if you look at the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, it's equated to the Gayatri Mantra. Has the word Dhimahi in it, just like the Gayatri Mantra, Savitri Gayatri from the Vedas. But also the different words in the first verse of the Bhagavatam are equivalent to other words that are given in the Gayatri Mantra. And it is the essence of the Vedas. Well, the Gayatri Mantra is the essence of the Vedas, so therefore the Bhagavatam, if it's equal to the Gayatri Mantra, it's also the essence of the Vedas. Text 394. Text 395. Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken directly by the Supreme Lord. It consists of 12 cantos, 100 sections, and 18,000 verses. So I don't know exactly where that's from. Maybe that's also in the Garuda Purana. But it states the number of cantos, the number of verses in Srimad Bhagavatam. So text 396. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, verse 2, it is stated, Dharma projita kaitavota paramoni matsadanam satam vedyam vastava atra vastu shivadam tapon trayamulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kim Vaparerishvaraha Sadyo Hridya Virudyatetra Prithibihi Shushushabhi Stakshanat. Right. Completely rejecting all kinds of religious rituals that are materially motivated, this Bhagavad Purana explains the highest truth, which is understandable by those who are pure in heart. The highest truth is reality, which is distinguished from illusion for the benefit of everyone. This truth uproots the threefold miseries. Right? What are they? Adhyatmik, adibhautik, adidaivik. Right? Problems that we have from other living entities, problems that we have from natural calamities, and problems with our own mind and body. The threefold miseries. This beautiful Bhagavatam compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva is sufficient in itself for self-realization, for realization of the absolute truth. What is the need for any other literature? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of the Bhagavatam, the Supreme Lord is established within one's heart. Text 397 to 398 in Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, 3rd chapter, text 40 and 41, it is stated, Srimad Bhagavatam is a literary incarnation of God, and it was compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God. It is meant for the ultimate welfare of all people. It is the most perfectly ecstatic literature. Srila Vyasadeva delivered the Srimad Bhagavatam to his son, who is the most respected amongst all self-realized souls, after extracting the cream of all Vedic literature and histories. This is a really nice verse given in the Bhagavatam itself, explaining about the Bhagavatam. Text 399 in Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, 3rd chapter, verse 43, it says, the Bhagavad Purana is as brilliant as the sun, and it arose just after the departure of Lord Krishna for his own abode, which is the beginning of Kali Yuga, right? Accompanied by religion and knowledge. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali will get light from this Purana, light meaning knowledge, spiritual knowledge. Krishna dva swadamo bhagate dharma jnana dibhya saha kalo nasta dishame sha puranako dunoditaha. Very, very nice verse. So, text 400 to 401 in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, 7th chapter, verses 6 and 7, it's stated, the material miseries of the living entity, which he unnecessarily suffers, can be mitigated by engagement in the devotional service of the Lord. People in general do not know this, however, and so Vyasadeva compiled this great literature to reveal the absolute truth. Simply by hearing this Vedic literature as an attraction for loving devotional service to Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sprouts up at once to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. Text 304 and text 302 and 303. Sukadeva Goswami spoke these verses, which are found in Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd Canto, 1st chapter, verses 9 and 10. O King, I was perfectly situated in transcendence, and yet still I became attracted to the pastimes of the Lord, who is described in poetic verses. I shall now recite the Srimad Bhagavatam to you, because you are a most sincere devotee of Lord Krishna. One who respectfully and attentively hears Srimad Bhagavatam will attain unflinching faith to the Supreme Lord, who awards liberation. Text 404 and 407 to 407. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, 12th Canto, 13th chapter, texts 14 to 16 and 18, it's stated, all other Puranas shine brightly in an assembly of saintly verses only as long as Srimad Bhagavatam is not heard. Srimad Bhagavatam is declared to be the essence of Vedanta philosophy. One who has derived great satisfaction from its transcendental taste will never be attracted to any other literature. Just as the Ganges, or the Ganga, is the greatest of all rivers, Lord Achyuta, the supreme amongst all controllers, and Lord Shambhu, the greatest of Vaishnavas, Srimad Bhagavatam is the foremost of all Puranas. Srimad Bhagavatam is the spotless Purana. It is most dear to the Vaishnavas because it describes the supreme knowledge that is the subject matter for Paramahamsas. This Bhagavatam reveals the means for becoming free from material bondage, as well as transcendental knowledge, renunciation, and devotion. Anyone who seriously studies Srimad Bhagavatam, who properly hears and chants it with devotion, will surely be liberated. These are really very, very nice pramanas or proofs here from Srimad Bhagavatam itself about the Bhagavatam. Nice. Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam, right? Completely pure literature. Text 408. Therefore, in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, verse 3, it's stated, Nigama Kalpaturo Galitam Palam Sukha Mukad Amritam Drava Samyutam Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Mahuraho Rasika Bhuvi Babukaha, excuse me. O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, mature fruit of the desire tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Shukadeva Goswami. For this reason, this fruit has become even more delicious, although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. Text 409. It's also said in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, verse 2. So chapter 2, verse 3. Canto 1, chapter 2, verse 3. I offer my obeisances unto Shukadeva, the spiritual master of all sages and the son of Vyasadeva, who out of compassion for the materialists who struggled to cross over the darkness of material existence, spoke this most confidential cream of Vedic knowledge after personally realizing it. Text 410. One should always worship a person who speaks on Srimad Bhagavatam, considering him to be on the level of one's spiritual master, for he awards one transcendental knowledge. Text 411 to 412. The glories of the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam, Narada Pancharatra, in the Narada Pancharatra, sage Shandilya, right, spoke these verses to an assembly of sages. So, a true Vaishnava who is the knower of Shastra accepts the speaker who imparts the science of devotion to Lord Vishnu to be as good as the Lord Vishnu himself, and thus worships him with his body, mind, and speech. What to speak of that person who preaches the glories of devotional service? Even one who recites only 1/4 of a sloka is eligible to be worshipped. Text 413 to 417. It's also stated, it's extremely difficult to attain the shelter of Lord Narayana by means of cultivation of knowledge. The source of all knowledge is Shastra, and Shastra is revealed through the mouth of the spiritual master. Therefore, advancement of spiritual knowledge is dependent on the qualifications of the spiritual master. O sages, it is for this reason that the spiritual master is accepted as the topmost member of human society. The Supreme Lord assumes the form of the spiritual master and mercifully delivers the fallen conditioned souls by means of the instructions from the Shastra. It is the duty of those who are afraid of material existence to worship the lotus feet of a spiritual master who is able to remove the darkness of ignorance through dissemination of an understanding of the scriptures. Respectfully receiving the Vedic literatures through oral reception destroys all sinful reactions, awards one pious merit, purifies one of all contamination, and endows one with opulence, liberation, steadfastness in mind, and above all, devotional service. One who preaches the true purport of Shastra to all classes of men is referred to as Jagat Guru. And it says here right at the end, Jagat Guru. Text 418. The glories of hearing the pastimes of Lord Krishna and its results of destroying all sinful reactions. In a conversation between Narada and Brahma and Narada, which is found in the Skanda Purana, it's stated, there is no doubt that the sinful reactions that one has accumulated for hundreds of millions of years are reduced when he hears discussions of Lord Hari. Elsewhere in the same literature, it's stated, the following of Varnashram and bathing in holy places of pilgrimage cannot purify one as much as hearing about the glories of Lord Narayana. Text 420. In the beginning of the story of Yajna that is narrated in the Brihad Naradiya Purana, this verse is found. Alas, Harikatha alone destroys all sinful reactions and awards auspiciousness to those who are struggling in this material world. There is no doubt that simply by attentively and respectfully hearing narrations about Lord Hari, one becomes purified. Text 421. In the first canto, second chapter, 17th verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, it's stated, Sri Krishna, the super soul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses all desire for material enjoyment within the heart of his devotee, who has developed a strong desire to hear his messages, which are the essence of piety when properly heard and chanted. Text 422. The demigods offered this prayer to the Supreme Lord, as found in Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 6th chapter, verse 9. The Supreme Absolute Truth, O Supreme Absolute Truth, those with contaminated consciousness cannot purify themselves merely by worship of the demigods, study of the Vedas, charity, austerities, and ritualistic performances. Those who have developed firm faith in your glories achieve a purified state of existence that can never be attained by those who lack such faith. Text 423. It removes all miseries such as hunger and thirst. King Parikshit spoke this verse to Shukadev as found in Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, 1st chapter, text 13. Because of my vow, I have given up drinking water, and yet because I am drinking the nectar of discussions about Krishna, flowing from your lotus-like mouth, my hunger and thirst, which are extremely difficult to tolerate, cannot hinder me. Text 424. In the Skanda Purana, it's also stated, by hearing about the transcendental characteristics of Lord Vishnu, one attains wealth, one's impediments are destroyed, all of one's distress is removed, and all of one's miseries caused by inauspicious planetary influences are nullified. Text 425 to 427. It is all auspicious. In the same literature is stated, O Narada, those who are desirous of attaining fame, religiosity, and victory, as well as those pious and saintly persons who wish to nullify their sinful reactions and ascend to the heavenly planets, should regularly hear about the transcendental characteristics of Lord Vishnu. Indeed, such hearing increases one's duration of life and awards one good health, fame, and piety. Narrations of Lord Vishnu's pastimes certainly award one victory, help one to overcome enemies, improve one's reputation, increase one's strength, and fulfill all desires. Text 428. It awards the merit of all pious activities. In the first canto, second chapter, verse 8 of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's stated, the occupational duties of a man as prescribed by the Varnashram system are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction to the messages of personality of Godhead. Text 429. It awards perfection of the ears. In the conversation between Vidura and Maitreya that are found in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 6, verse 37, it's stated, the highest perfection of life can be attained by engaging in discussions of the activities and qualities of the Supreme Lord. The pastimes of the Lord are narrated by greatly learned sages in such a nice way that the actual purpose of the ear is served just by hearing them. Text 430. It gives perfection to one's life. Sage Shonaka spoke this verse, which is found in Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, chapter 3, verse 17. By rising and setting, the sun decreases everyone's duration of life, except those who utilize their valuable time by discussing the spotless glories of the personality of Godhead. Text 431. It creates detachment in the minds of devotees. Vidura spoke this verse, which is found in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 5th chapter, text 13. For one who is anxious to hear Krishna Katha, gradually increases his indifference towards everything devoid of a relationship with the Lord. The constant remembrance of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna by the devotee who has attained the platform of transcendental ecstasy immediately vanquishes all his miseries. Text 432. Sage Maitreya spoke this verse, which is found at the end of the story of Prithu in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 23rd chapter, text 12. When he became completely freed from the bodily conception of life, Maharaj Prithu realized Lord Krishna, who sits within everyone's heart as the Paramatma. Being thus able to get instruction from him, he gave up the practices of yoga and jnana. Indeed, he was not even interested in the perfection of yoga because he fully realized that devotional service to Lord Krishna is the ultimate goal of life. Text 433. Uddhava addressed the Supreme Lord in this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 6th chapter, verse 44. My dear Krishna, your pastimes are extremely auspicious for mankind and are like an intoxicating drink for the ears. While tasting such pastimes, people forget their desires for material enjoyment. Text 434. Ata samsara tarakavam. It delivers one from material existence. The Supreme Lord spoke this verse to the Prachetas as related in Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 30th chapter, verse 19. Those who are engaged in the auspicious activities of devotional service certainly understand that the ultimate enjoyer of all activities is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whatever a devotee does, he offers the results to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and passes his life always engaged in discussions about the Lord. Even though a person may have a family, he is not affected by the results of his actions, karma. Text 435. It awards all objectives of life. In the Skanda Purana, it's also said, O Narada, if one desires religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation, then he must always hear about the glories of Lord Hari. By this one activity, one can gain everything. Text 436. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, 12th canto, 4th chapter, text 40, this verse was spoken by Shukadeva. Material existence is like an ocean that is extremely difficult to cross. The conditioned souls have fallen into this ocean, which, unlike water, burns them with the fire of misery. For one who has fallen into this ocean and desires to get out, there is no other boat to rescue him but the constant hearing of the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 437. In the Dwarka Mahatmyam, the glories of Dwarka, it's stated, one who considers the narrations of Lord Krishna's pastimes to be more dear than his own life obtains everything desirable in this life and in the next. Text 438. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 3rd chapter, verse 12, it said, transcendental knowledge in relation to the Supreme Lord Hari results in the complete suspension of the waves and whirlpools of the three modes of material nature. Such knowledge is satisfying to the self because it emanates from the transcendental platform. Who would fail to be attracted? Text 439. The personified Vedas offered this prayer to the Supreme Lord as found in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 87, verse 21. My Lord, some fortunate souls have gotten relief from the fatigue of material life by diving into the vast ocean of your transcendental pastimes, which you enact when you incarnate to propagate the science of self-realization. These rare souls, who are indifferent even to liberation, renounce the happiness of family life because of their association with devotees, who are like flocks of swans enjoying the lotus of your feet. Text 440. In the conversation between Kapila and Devahuti that is found in Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 25th chapter, verse 34, it says, a pure devotee who fully engages in the service of my lotus feet never desires to become one with me. Such a devotee who is engaged in my service without deviation always glorifies my transcendental pastimes. Text 441. Ata vaikunta loka prapakatvam. Right, it helps one to go back to Godhead. Sukadeva Goswami spoke this verse, which is found in Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 2nd chapter, verse 37. Those who drink through oral reception the nectarian messages of Lord Krishna, the devotees, the beloved of the devotees, purify the polluted aim of life known as material enjoyment, and thus go back to Godhead to engage in the service of the Lord's lotus feet. Text 442. This prayer is to Lord Kapila, as found in Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 5th chapter, text 46. O Lord, those who are very serious about engaging in your devotional service attain complete renunciation and perfect knowledge and are transferred to the Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual sky simply by drinking the nectar of the narrations of your glories. Text 443. While instructing his messengers, Yamaraj spoke this verse, which is found in the Skanda Purana. O messengers, never even look at anyone from the 10,000 generations of the family of those who regularly hear and recite the glories of the Lord as found in the Vedic literature. Actually, you will not be able to find them because they have all attained the transcendental abode of Vaikuntha. Text 444. Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, does not leave a person whose mind is always happy to discuss narrations concerning Lord Vishnu. Actually, such a person has already attained the transcendental abode of Vaikuntha. Text 445. It awards love of God. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 12, Chapter 3, Verse 15, it's stated, one who desires pure devotional service to Lord Krishna should hear the narrations of his glorious qualities and pastimes, the constant chanting of which destroys all that is inauspicious. The devotee should hear from the scriptures on a regular basis. Indeed, a devotee should continue to hear about the Lord throughout the day. Text 446. It attracts Lord Krishna, right? Ata Sri Bhagavad Vasikaritvam. Vasikarana means, Vasikarana is a tantric process by which you can mesmerize a person and attract them, make them attracted to you. So it attracts even Lord Krishna, right? The Skanda Purana stated, O Lord, the Lord personally appears wherever his glories are being discussed, just as a cow affectionately follows her calf. Text 447. The Supreme Lord spoke this verse, which is found in the Vishnu Dharma. In a conversation between the Supreme Lord and Arjuna, it's recorded in the Skanda Purana, this verse is also found. So, I never reject a person who always narrates my pastimes, exhibits attachment for hearing about me, and is happy to receive the opportunity to talk about me. Text 448. Lord Brahma offers this prayer to the Supreme Lord, which is found in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 14th chapter, verse 3. O my Lord Krishna, a devotee who gives up the process of philosophical speculation with a desire to merge into the existence of the Supreme and engages in hearing your glories from a bona fide spiritual master can conquer you, even though you're unconquerable. Text 449. It awards the ultimate goal of life. The sages headed by Sanaka offer this prayer, which is found in Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 15th chapter, verse 48. Persons who are able to understand things as they are engage in hearing narrations of the pastimes of the Lord, which are worthy of being heard and chanted. Such persons do not care for any material benediction, nor even liberation. And so, what to speak of less important benedictions, such as elevation to the heavenly kingdom? Text 450. The siddhas offered this prayer to the Supreme Lord, which is found in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 7, verse 35. O Lord, like an elephant who has entered a river after suffering in a forest fire, our minds continually enter the river of your transcendental pastimes and never want to leave such transcendental ecstasy. Text 451. The sages headed by Shaunaka spoke this verse, which is found in Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 1st chapter, verse 19. One can never be satiated, even though he continuously hears the transcendental pastimes of Lord Krishna, who is glorified by poetic prayers. Those who have entered into the transcendental relationship with Lord Krishna relish the descriptions of his pastimes at every moment. Text 452. And it's also said in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 18th chapter, verse 14, Lord Krishna is the exclusive shelter of all exalted personalities. His transcendental qualities cannot be fully understood, even by Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. Can anyone who is expert in relishing their transcendental relationship with the Lord ever be satiated by hearing about him? Text 453. Vidura spoke this verse, which is found in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 5, verse 7. Please also tell us about the auspicious characteristics of the Lord in his various incarnations as he acts for the welfare of the devotees, cows and demigods. Our minds are never satisfied, even though we continuously hear the narrations of his transcendental pastime. Text 454. King Parikshit, spoke this verse, which is found in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 52nd chapter, verse 20. O Brahmana, how could an experienced devotee ever become tired while listening to the calming and ever-fresh narrations of Lord Krishna, which cleanse one's contamination? Text 455. King Prithu offered this prayer to the Supreme Lord, which is found in Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 20th chapter, verse 24. O my Lord, I do not pray for liberation or anything else, because I am satisfied to simply hear your transcendental glories. My only prayer is that you may please give me 10,000 ears so that I can hear your glories to my heart's content. Text 456. Narada Muni spoke this verse to King Angaparish, which is found in the Vaishaka Mahatmyam section of Padma Purana. There is no auspiciousness, no superior auspiciousness and satisfaction than the glorification of the transcendental qualities of the unlimited, glorious Supreme Personality of Godhead for the pure devotees who are firmly fixed in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. Text 457. Sutta Goswami spoke this verse, which is found in Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 18th chapter, verse 10. Those who desire spiritual advancement should always hear narrations describing the transcendental qualities and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose activities are wonderful. Text 458. Sukadeva Goswami spoke this verse at the end of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The Supreme Lord accepts transcendental forms of incarnation just to perform his pastimes with his devotees and establish religious principles. The transcendental pastimes and the qualities and pastimes of Lord Krishna, who appeared in the Yadu dynasty, right, should be attentively heard by all those who desire to become absorbed in meditation upon his lotus feet. Text 459. Therefore, one should not listen to any other narrations than discussions about Lord Krishna. One should also give up the mentality of being satisfied after hearing just a few moments of glorification of the Lord. So we heard all about these statements, right? That we should never be satisfied by listening to the glories of the Lord, and we should always have the mentality to hear them more and more.